Well, beautiful day, everyone. This is Chantel with Love You Studios. I am back. As promised, I'm a little later than I expected to be. Y'all, I got up so early this morning. I took a nap and set my alarm for noon. It should have set it a few minutes before. But nonetheless, I am back. And I'm not in my office today. I'm actually sitting in my front room. What is going on with this braid right here? It's bothering me. Uh, on, let me see. Okay, let me get my thoughts together. So I came back today. I posted a picture yesterday of a face, right? And wanted to know if you could name any of those zones on your face. So I want to talk about skin signals. And the reason I want to talk about that, it's important because we need to know what is going on with our health and our skin when we see indicators, on our face or even anywhere on our body. So I picked the spleen today. And the reason I picked the spleen to talk about today, and I'll tell you where that indicator is on that drawing that I posted yesterday. And I have it up here. Let me see. It's showing backwards. Oh, there it is. Yep. So it's going to show the opposite, of course, for you all on the screen. But I wanted to start with the spleen because oftentimes people feel like the spleen is insignificant because your body can still function when people have had their spleen removed. Now, if you know like I know and you understand how I understand, yes, we can live without certain body parts. But do we necessarily want to do that if there is a resolution? And sometimes we're so quick, our society or our system of care is so quick to start removing body parts. Tonsils and, the spleen. But those things are there. They have a purpose and a function for a reason. And so as a holistically practicing esthetician, I wanted to come on here and give you all some information regarding the spleen specifically and talk about a little bit in detail about what the spleen does, and then talk about some indications on your skin, how you can tell that maybe your spleen is dysfunctioning, and then give you the name of some herbs that can help you kind of get your spleen back on track. Okay? If that's fair, cool. So thank you so much for joining me. I want to say that again, my name is Chantel with Love You Studios. I am not a medical doctor. I am, however, a 23-year degreed massage therapist with a focus on neuromuscular massage and Chinese medicine. I'm also an herbalist, and I'm also an esthetician. I'm a licensed esthetician. So I study quite a bit and extensively, actually, certifications and studies and things like that. And let me just get started. All right, so the spleen, and I am looking at some notes. I have a huge page of notes. But your spleen is a huge part of the circulatory system. And it filters the blood. It's considered a blood filter. So blood moves through your spleen and it helps to remove damaged and old blood cells and platelets. Okay? It assists also with removing certain microorganisms. It also plays a huge part in your immune systems because it contains lymphocytes, which are the white blood cells. And those, of course, your white blood cells, if you know, help to fight off infections, and that it produces antibodies. So it also restores the cells and it releases the cells when needed. This is what your spleen does. Also, it regulates the production of blood cells in your bone marrow. So I want you to really think about some of the things that I'm saying, and then we'll look at maybe some conditions that go beyond the skin that can help you determine, well, maybe I kind of need to have this checked. Okay? So again, it regulates the production of blood cells in your bone marrow, and it signals to the bone marrow to produce more blood when it's needed. So your spleen is important. It's not just a body part that just sits there that is not necessary. It also stores blood, and it will release blood when there's trauma to the body. So if you have an accident and there's some kind of trauma, and then there's inflammation. So inflammation comes to help protect the body. That is what inflammation is for. Chronic inflammation is something else. But if you have swelling or inflammation, it swells up to protect that particular body part to stop it from causing further injury and give that body part a chance to enter into recovery. So your spleen is a part of that. It also helps to remove excess waste through the lymphatic system. If you all have ever heard of your lymphatic system, which is where toxins are flushed through our body, and oftentimes our lymphatic system can be offline or dysfunction because the lymph is not moving like it should be. Okay? Your spleen, again, can be removed, but think about the implications that has on the overall balance of your body. So if your spleen is removed, then those functions that I just named, those can still happen, but how? Because now your body is out of balance. So it is necessary. So I called this series Skin Signals, and I decided to go ahead and share it here online. I'm sharing it on Instagram and Facebook as well on my business page, because I'm also writing my text for the school that will open soon, and I'll talk about that on another video. But I decided to go ahead and share because oftentimes I understand that people want a quick fix. So we're looking at our skin if we're having a breakout, and then we're using the stuff on our skin. And when I tell you there's so much out now, there's so many different products. It's like the market has been completely flooded with products and things out here. And some of them work, some of them work well, but then also you see people getting injured from using products, and oftentimes we'll use something topical, but as a holistically practicing esthetician, as a holistically practicing esthetician, my goal is to bring the body back into balance, and I look at the whole body. So we look at your environment, we look at the skin, we look at your emotions, we look at diet, we look at all of the things, okay? So, and we also do spiritual too. So all of those things matter, because any one of those things being out of alignment can cause harm to our skin. And of course, how many of you guys know that the skin is the largest organ on our body? So this is called Skin Signals, and this is part 1, the spleen. Okay, so the spleen on that picture that I posted is going to be in this area here, right? This area here is going to be the part of your face that correlates to that organ, which is your spleen. It's going to be right here. So if you're having some issues here, it's then you probably want to look at your spleen, getting that cleaned up, getting it flushed. So let's talk about it a little bit more. Okay? It could look like bruising. Okay? It could look like purpura or polychae, which is they're tiny spots on the skin. And so on darker skin, they may not be red spots, but it could look like a little rash and little spots that you may see. Okay, again, correlating here. And then also vascular inflammation, which are, it sounds just like what it is. So you could see your little veins under the skin may be inflamed, and you'll see them under the skin more than usual. So on Caucasian skin or very light skin, it will show up as red or inflamed. Your veins are inflamed. On darker skin, it's a little harder to detect, but you can still see it if you're looking at your skin, especially if you're looking at it under a light, if you go to see a skin care specialist or an esthetician. Also, sarcoidosis. And so if you know sarcoidosis are lesions that can be itchy and painful bumps, and those can appear on the neck, the chest, the legs. It can appear almost anywhere, sarcoidosis. But the reason I'm naming all of these is because when you have these indications, so if someone has been diagnosed with sarcoidosis, then you may want to look at the spleen to see if your spleen is offline. And if your spleen is offline, then we want to look at correcting that issue. We want to get to the root of the issue because we don't want to treat symptoms. We really want to talk about bringing the body whole and functioning. Okay? Hey, son, and hey, everyone there. My son Josh is online. Thanks so much for joining. So we want to look at that. Also, some other indications are eczema and psoriasis. And also, there was one I wanted to talk about specifically. Oh, pyoderma gangrenosum. So what that looks like, it could show up as HS. I know if you all haven't been hearing about hidradenitis suppurativa, that's a skin condition that's really painful. It causes tunneling and bumps on lesions on the skin, oftentimes under the arms, in the groin areas, on the thighs. So, a lot of times doctors will call immune disorders or things, autoimmune disorders. They don't really know what the root cause of it is, but there's always a cause. There's always a reason for it. So HS, and I tell everybody there's an answer for everything. There really is an answer for everything. Sometimes it's not in our wheelhouse of knowledge, but there is an answer for every single thing. So HS is an indication that people may want to look at the spleen. You can clean that up. I'm telling you, I lived with HS for years. I was a little girl, and I used to get really bad breakouts under my arms and never knew why. My mom never, we never knew why. Never knew what was going on with it. And I believe it had something to do with, now we ate a lot of vegetables, but I also think that meat just probably should never have been a part of my diet, mine in particular. Because if I overindulge in meat, chicken in particular, I know it sounds crazy, but then I can have a flare up. I could be subject to that. So I try to stay away from overindulging, and I'm really moving into my vegetarian lifestyle. So anyway, back on topic. So those are some of the indications that your spleen could be offline. I would definitely take a look at that and, look at your spleen first. There is hope for all of it. There's hope. So how can we clean our spleen if we suspect that we are having an issue with our spleen? Then you want to look at cleansing your liver and your kidneys. Remember, it's the lymphatic system. So how can we flush the lymphatic system? Okay, those are the questions that you want to ask. How can we flush the lymphatic system and get the lymph to move that excess weight out of our bodies? Because the intention is to, with our bodies, we want to eat to live. So we want to take in live food into our bodies, and live food is much like a computer chip to a computer, right? And what I mean by that is when it enters into our bodies, the food will go in and go to all the areas that it needs to go to. It will nourish the areas, and then what we don't need should be released through the waste. That's what's supposed to happen. But of course, the American standard diet has been horrible, and a lot of times we just don't know. You know, you don't know what you don't know. I felt like my children ate pretty well, and again, my youngest son is here. My Joshua is on the line, and he would tell you we had a lot of vegetables in our diet, but also there was meat with every meal as well, for the most part. But I felt like our meals were really balanced. However, in eating out, you know, the oils that we use, all of those things matter, right? Everything matters. So we want to make sure that we're eating so that our body is regulated, our systems are regulated, everything is functioning as it should be. When we're eating, then we're eliminating. If we are not doing that, then there is a problem. Thyroiditis is another issue. So there are so many things that you can use in order to... Somebody wants to get on. I don't know who this is. There are so many herbs that we could use to get our system online, and to cleanse our liver, to cleanse our kidneys. And don't let anyone tell you that you don't need a particular body part. Those can be fixed. Okay, for the most part, it might take some work. It may take a different thought process. It will take some discipline. It will usually, when you're using herbs, it takes longer than pharmaceuticals, but also you don't have the type of damage. You know, you don't hear about the recalls on this stuff like you will hear with the pharmaceuticals. So skin signals, that's what some of this stuff looks like. Yeah, exactly. Just how long it took to get unhealthy, it'll take as long to get healthy. Absolutely. That's correct. So it takes a mindset shift. It takes discipline. It takes focus. And it takes wanting to say, okay, there's another way to live. There's another way to live this life. So your green leafy vegetables, you can get it from there. You can get it from kale. You can get it from spinach. Eat raw foods. Get as much raw food in as you possibly can. And my husband will say, you know, oftentimes I'm eating like a rabbit. So I'm trying to read some of the comments. I'm sorry. So oftentimes he'll tell me, you know what, you just eat like a rabbit. And we love vegetables. We grew up on fresh vegetables. My grandparents kept a garden. Now, I did not pick that up. I wished I would have. And I'm 55 now, and I wished I would have picked up on some of those habits. But you can. You can grow a small garden. You can grow a garden where you are, and you can get a farm number. That's another part that we'll talk about. I'll bring that probably in the next few weeks, talking about farm numbers and what's going on with that. So, and how you can get a farm number growing. You don't have to have what a traditional farm looks like. Okay? But anyway, back to your spleen. That's what it looks like here. Okay? Let me show you the picture here again. Spleen, you see it? And I did post a picture up there, so take some time, take a look at it, and let's talk about it. I made several teas, let's see, that I'm working on to help with some PCOS issues. I did have a hypothyroidism diagnosis 3 years ago, and I worked to heal my own thyroid. They put me on some medication, and you all, I can't even think of the name of it right now. I should have brought it out here with me because I still have it to use as testimony. I took that medicine for probably 2 weeks and got so lightheaded. My heartbeat started speeding up that I almost passed out behind the wheel of my car. So no medications for me. I've never been big on taking medications, and I opted to go the natural route. It took a long time for me to figure it out because everyone wants to charge you, $5,000 for this program, $10,000 for this program. And I just want to give people the knowledge so that we can be a healthier society. If we each can offer what we know, give what we know, then we have a better mindset. A lot of the stuff that's going on now, the psychosis folks having, has to do with what they're eating and parasites and not cleansing. That's right. Each one reach one. So that's what I'm working on. I'll come on here, give all this free information. Now, if you want to know, if it's something specific to you and you want a consultation, again, I'll relate it back to the skin. It's best if you can go to your local esthetician. A holistically practicing esthetician. Every practitioner is not created equal, okay? But if you go to your local holistically practicing esthetician, there are many. Use them and get a consultation. We do not diagnose, we do consult. And any information I'm giving you today, of course, I have to say it is not medical information. But what I do offer you is information that will help increase your knowledge base. Okay? You can go do your own research, but if you want a consultation from me, an online consultation, then just reach out to me in my DM, and we can talk about something that may help you with your own your particular situation. Okay, I do charge $25 for a 30-minute consult, and we just talk about it and get some pictures. And there's some additional add-ons, but I'll come on here every day and just give you basic information to at least help you to start doing your research. Okay, that's what I am here for. So that is the spleen today, and I wanted to give you guys, I want to name herbs, but I don't want to name too many, because you guys will start going out and getting all these herbs that you just may not need, right? But some are, there's dandelion root tea that will help cleanse your liver and your kidneys. There's two more that I want to name, and I just lost it. There's another root, and I use it every day. Why can't I think of it? I'm drawing a blank. Calendula is another one. It's gentle, but it's really good to cleanse your liver and your kidneys. And there's one more root I cannot, and as soon as I get off of here, it's going to come back to mind. I just can't think of it right now. But those are really gentle, and you'll be surprised. Spearmint. Drink spearmint tea, okay? Cut back on your sugar and eliminate it if you can. But you can also use, you can use raw honey. Don't use a lot of it because it could still spike your blood sugar, okay? And then there's agave, You can use agave. Agave should not spike your blood sugar. If that spikes your blood sugar, there's something else going on. But you will also want to check with get your blood test from your doctor. You can see where they're at. You can order your own blood test. You can go to a lab and get your own blood test. You don't have to go to a provider to get the blood test. So you can do that on your own. If you have insurance, your insurance will pay for it. If not, then there are a couple of labs that are really inexpensive when it comes to getting those. And we can talk about some possible tests that you can request. But thank you so much, Joshy Poo. Thank you. And it is. Agave is really good, and you don't need a lot of it. But yeah, some of those things those are simple to grow. Rose is another one. If you have organic rose petals, that's really, really, really good for cleansing and moving that lymphatic system. And it doesn't cost a whole lot. But if you need any of those things, now I do make my own. I'll just put that out there. I do make products, and I do make my own teas. Okay? So if you don't want to buy them and you want to get them from me, that's fine. If not, go purchase and see what you come up with. But do your research. I really encourage you all to do your research. Don't just take medication just for the sake of taking medication. Do your research. Eat raw foods as much as you can every single day. Remember, color on your plate. So you want orange, there's orange peppers, there's carrots, you want green, you want purples, there's beets. Something as simple as green beans, right? And if you wanted those seeds, you could, but the long, skinny green beans, if you get those frozen and you let those thaw out and let them sit on paper towels and dry for a little bit, you can eat those raw in a salad. I make my own salad dressings, right? I just made some fire cider the other day, so it's not even a week old, but I made some fire cider with some, what did I put in there? Calendula, cranberries, jalapenos, there's cinnamon, there's lemons, there's limes, there's lemon, lime, there's turmeric, there is rosemary, and all of those things are going to be good to help build up your immune system, but they also help with elimination. So the spleen is all about eliminating, helping the circulatory system, helping things move out of the system so it's not sitting there getting stagnant, which is when we start to pull on weight. And anytime you see something on your skin erupting on the skin like acne, that's an indicator that something's not filtering correctly and it's trying to get out. It's waste that's trying to get out of your body, and it will try to leave by any means necessary. That's really basically what that looks like. So anyway, darlings, again, thank you so much for joining my live today. I wanted to come on and give you some tips and a little bit of information. And I'm still thinking about this root that's just about to drive me cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and I can't think of it right now. But I will come back and I will put it under this live when I think about it. But it's really good for helping to move waste out of the system, helping to eliminate. You are so welcome. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow. I will come on tomorrow. I haven't decided which part I want to do yet. I may do the large intestine and just kind of move from the spleen to the intestine and then move back over to the liver and the kidneys. But we'll cover this entire picture because I want you to know what that looks like. So if you see any indications there, or if you have any other questions or comments, just let me know. This is only, what is this, my third or fourth video on TikTok, my third or fourth live. I don't know what I'm doing over here, but I will go look to see, figure out how I can look at the live and look at the comments. But DM me. You can find me also at Love You Studios. That is LOVE, the letter U, Studios, on Instagram and also on Facebook. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of the day. Have an amazing weekend. And this is to your health. And remember, it looks good to feel good. So love you. Have a good one.